With DC dropping the bombshell that Michael Keaton will be returning as Batman in the new Flash movie, what other big changes could it have on the DCEU? As you probably heard by now, Michael Keaton, who played the caped crusader in Tim Burton's original films, will be returning as an older and presumably even broodier Batman in the upcoming Flash movie. While we don't know a lot about the movie, we do know it will be inspired by the Flashpoint comic book run, with the Flash going back in time before starting a butterfly effect that will change Barry Allen's life as he knows it. One of these big changes will be the character of Batman, but what else will change? We'll take a look at some of the most plausible theories and notions about how the Flash movie will change the future of the DCEU.
Alfred, let's go shopping.
Yes, sir.
News in the future of the DCEU is vague, and the truth is, we don't know a lot about what the future will hold for it. But what we do know is that DC are seemingly setting up a multiverse for themselves with the 2022 movie The Flash based around the Flashpoint comics. What this means is that the DC is no longer held down by the restrictions of a singular timeline, with a multiverse allowing them to have multiple timelines taking place simultaneously. And with more Batmans than you can shake a batarang at, that makes a lot of sense. The biggest and most exciting piece of news we know so far about this multiverse is that Michael Keaton and his Silver Fox charms will be returning as Batman. But what does that all actually mean? Details are unsurprisingly scarce right now, but what we do know is that the new timeline that Flash creates will include Michael Keaton's Batman, who has been Gotham's protector for 3 decades. While we don't know for sure whether Keaton will be playing the character we see in Tim Burton's Batman movies, it is a high possibility. If this is the case, does that mean that they will be canon in the DCEU? And will this contradict everything that DC has set up and the Burton movies themselves? And if so, what does that mean for the future of other side characters in the Batman universe, as both Penguin and Catwoman appeared in Batman Returns and will also feature in Matt Reeves' upcoming Batman movie? Also, does that mean that Joel Schumacher's movies and Batnips are also canon? Let's really hope not. There's also the likelihood that Keaton won't be the only Batman featuring in the movie. It is unclear if Affleck has a future as the character, especially with Robert Pattinson now being cast, but this could be a chance to give Batfleck a proper send-off and right some wrongs with the character. In particular, the tonal shift between the Batman we see in BVS and the one we see in Justice League. This could also be an opportunity to show how Pattinson integrates into DC's wider plan going forward, and if Reeves' movie is a prequel or indeed its own thing entirely. DC have insisted that the movie is a self-contained entity and isn't related to the DCEU, and one hopes that this could lead to a trilogy on the same standards of Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight series. One Batman that could also appear, and one which fans would be eager to see, is Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Flashpoint's Batman, Thomas Wayne. Flashpoint seems to serve the basis of what this movie will be, but the comics have one big alternate storyline, and that is that it was actually Bruce Wayne who was killed by the mugger, not his father, Thomas, who is the one who becomes Batman in this story. With Morgan already playing the character in BVS, and with the actor already expressing a desire to play the part, the cards are on the table for this to happen. But with DC, nothing is for sure, and it could also be possible that Keaton will actually play this version of Batman, opposed to the one from the Burton movies. It has also been mooted that Keaton's Batman will serve as DC's version of Nick Fury, tying everyone together but not playing a massive active role. This could leave space for R-Pats or Batfleck to play a young Batman in the universe, or even allow DC to throw Nightwing into the mix. There is also a very real chance that it's not just a new Batman we will see. It does seem the future of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and Zachary Levi as Shazam are respectively safe, but that can't be said about many other characters in the universe, primarily the Man of Steel himself, Superman. Despite Henry Cavill being an almost perfect choice for Superman, it seems like his character is stuck in limbo, especially since the whole CGI mustache embargo. And while the Snyder Cut may change his future, it doesn't seem like the character will be moving forward soon. This could mean the character might possibly be recast, and if I were a betting man, I would put money on Michael B. Jordan stepping into the role. Jordan has been linked to the part for some time, time now, and although he played down speculation, he was as convincing as crocodile's tears. And with the potential of new multiverses being created, it makes sense that the DC could introduce Jordan as alternate Superman Calvin Ellis. There is also no reason to think that it might just stop there, and could lead to the introduction of other major characters, and potentially bring the likes of Green Lantern back to the big screen, with Bradley Cooper recently being linked to the part. This should be particularly exciting to fans who wish that the memory erasing device from Men in Black was real so they could forget Ryan Reynolds' 2011 movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, look right here.
Of course, the DCEU has a myriad of passionate fans, but it is safe to say that it hasn't been as well received on a universal basis as its Marvel counterpart. That could be in part down to what feels like a lack of cohesion and firm direction at DC, with constant tonal changes, vast amounts of reshoots, and heavy cutting. But with the possible introduction of multiverses, DC have a chance to wipe the slate clean under a firm and clear direction. This means they can effectively pick and choose what is and isn't canon, keeping popular characters and movies alive and well as, like Thanos, snap away their less well-received outings, such as the original Suicide Squad. Because, reinventing a cinematic universe is super easy, barely an inconvenience. It also gives them a chance to tie in new spin-offs and projects. As mentioned earlier, Robert Pattinson's Batman, as well as the newly announced police drama set in Gotham City, which will be helmed by Boardwalk Empire's Terrence Winter. Until we do get a firm answer as to what the Flash means for the future of DC, we can only continue to speculate and question what will be the DCEU canon and what will not. An example of this is Todd Phillips' Joker. Phillips and Phoenix have repeatedly expressed that Joker is a standalone movie and nothing more, with Phoenix apparently not wanting the whole Batman twist to be in the movie at all. But with the huge popularity of the movie and with talks of a sequel, will DC be able to resist making this movie a part of their wider plans with the DCEU if they are able to do so? Phillips already has ideas for a DC Black cinematic universe, which will be character studies on different Batman villains. And while Warner Brothers seemingly dismissed this at first, they have seemed to come around to the idea after Joker's success. Could Pattinson's Batman be the Bruce Wayne we see in Joker, or could the two even face off in another story? We can only speculate at this time, but boy is it fun! Another thing the Flash movie could do, however, is get even flashier and expand on its connection to the Arrowverse. Fans were in for a surprise when Ezra Miller's Flash came face to face with TV's Grant Gustin in a brief exchange on CW. What made this a big surprise was the fact that DC had resisted the DCEU coming into contact with the Arrowverse, forcing the Arrowverse to scrap Suicide Squad plotlines to make way for the movie, and even recasting the character of Flash with Ezra. Not only may the movie explain how the two universes coincide, but give us a greater idea of how the multiverse will work for DC going forward. But there is a bigger chance that the Arrowverse will stay put on the small screen.
Flash. It's complicated.
One of the biggest fan theories out there is that this could actually just be a covert Justice League 2. With the future of Justice League somewhat floundering and stuck in movie limbo, DC may use this as a chance to unite the more popular heroes, like we mentioned earlier, in a scaled-down Justice League, just like Marvel did with Captain America Civil War. It is plausible that Wonder Woman and Shazam could make appearances alongside Keaton's Batman, and that's not just a tantalizing prospect, but could give DC a chance to test the waters for what works and what doesn't. Civil War can also be comparable to the Flash movie, as it introduced Spider-Man and Black Panther into the mix without having to give a whole origin story. But with Marvel seemingly dipping their toe into the multiverse realm with the upcoming Doctor Strange movie in the Multiverse of Madness, DC could beat them to the punch with both movies' bills for a 2022 release. It is also DC's chance to present the multiverse in a much more exciting and engaging way, and perhaps finally start to pull ahead over their rivals. But with the MCU still in full strength, it might take a bit for the dynasty to fall.
You didn't see that coming?
Another thing the Flash movie could do, which would render this video completely useless and a waste of time, sorry, no refunds, is that this is all a relative red herring, and that the Flash movie will just reset itself afterwards. Like Sony's Into the Spider-Verse, while other multiverses exist, they live separate from one another and cannot function in a different realm, and although there will be a sequel, it seems like the characters can't cross over for a long period of time. DC may choose to do something similar. While the Flash may showcase different multiverses, there is a chance everything will reset at the end, and the different stories will just remain separate from one another, allowing DC to throw as many movies at the wall as they want to see what sticks. While this could be disappointing, as there will be enough timelines to make your brain hurt, it could also be the safest bet for DC standards, not wanting to throw all their hopes and dreams around one project only to see it fizzle out. But I guess time will tell, and with 2020 seemingly crawling by slower than a sloth working at the DMV, it feels like an age before we will get our actual answers. Until then, we can only dream about 5 Batmans sitting atop a skyscraper brooding, completely alone, but also together. And that is quite a nice thought to end on.
Stop right there. I'm in.
What changes do you think the Flash will make to the DCEU? Are you excited to see Michael Keaton suit up again? Are there any characters you wish to see going forward? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for more updates on the future of the DCEU.